What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the debut album from the band Moulin Banal, entitled Of Misery and Frostbites. This is released on Forbidden Sonority, Corde Raide. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very traditional, folky, French history influenced style of black metal. Yeah. If you remember a couple of months ago on this channel, I talked about the debut full-length from the band Shezmu entitled A Travers les Lambeaux, and of course this was one of the many, many musical projects of one Comte Bergabé. Of course, he is one of the masterminds behind Shezmu, but is also behind a wide multitude of other diverse and eclectic Canadian black metal projects. This is another black metal project of his we're going to be talking about today, and this is something completely vastly different. Whereas Shezmu had that Black Death Egyptian mythology sort of edge going for it, Moulin Banal takes a different approach with its lyrical content and themes, French history, little bit of folky mandolin, flute, and Merlin guitar influence. Just some very, very different sorts of sounds coming from this project. And of course, we got a glimpse of what Moulin Banal was all about last year in the form of the Le Rhythm du Maréchal Ferrand EP. Just some really, really strong stuff musically, some great vocals, a lot of high energy and very enthusiastic sounding stuff. And it made me all the more excited for their upcoming debut album. And we're going to be talking about that debut album. And of course, I'm going to use the English translation because I really don't want to butcher any of these song titles. So bear with me here. It's 9 tracks, and it clocks in at around 31 minutes in length. And from the opening moments, you hear the intro of this album with the acoustic sorts of guitar elements going on, and going into the track L'époque de la Drave. You already know what you're going to be in for with a project like this. This is going to be something completely different and unexpected, but I think the more you listen to it, the more you're going to appreciate and love and enjoy what Moulin Banal does with their style and interpretation of black metal. And I think it's really, really awesome, and it works so well and so splendidly. Musically, this is incredibly strong and solid stuff. It has that traditional black metal edge to it, but I also appreciate the folky elements being thrown here and there throughout this album. I mean, the riffs on this album are just very much awesome and galloping. You get some really good chords being thrown in there, some really awesome riffs, some nice lead-ins. Once again, mentioning the inclusions of mandolin guitars in certain elements and interludes. Really, really well-established stuff going on here with these guitar riffs, especially on later tracks like Braver la Tempête or Stadiconi 1534, and to even the closing moments of this album with Le Revenant de Gentilly and the title track. The previous track translates to The Ghost of Gentilly. Just some really, really great guitar riffs going on here. The bass is nice and warm too, definitely holds its own amongst the riffs that appear throughout this album, but I think the bass tone and performance on this album is very good too. The drumming on here is very awesome too. I definitely love how galloping and energetic this drum performance is. It definitely keeps up and holds a very solid pace throughout this album. A lot of these songs fly by at such a really good pace, and I really like the fact that this drummer can keep up with everything and play and do the sounds that he does so well. It's a very well-paced and well-executed drum performance going on here. And when it comes to the vocals, I love the vocal energy being done here. Of course, it has that very storytelling sort of delivery going on here. Very rough and hoarse at first, but then, of course, you get some vocals that verge on more gallant sort of singing sort of stuff going on here, especially towards later hooks on this album. But I think that the singing parts on this album definitely add to this band's folky sort of elements, the French history elements that you hear throughout this album. But I think This vocal performance is very entertaining. It's very much different in comparison to what you would hear on stuff like Shezmu or Complot, but something completely different here. And I love the vocal diversity being brought here with this album. So overall, very, very impressive album. If you're into anything that Count Bergabé is involved in, whether it be Shezmu or Complot or Hexeth or so on and so forth, I think you're going to really love this Moulin Banal project. I see some very, very big things coming from this band in the future. I really wish this album wasn't so short. I definitely feel like there was way more stories to be told and driven throughout this entire album, but I'll take it for what it's worth, and I think it's a really, really solid piece of Canadian black metal. But yeah, if I had to think of any personal favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say L'époque de la Drave, the time of the log drives, Sous le poids de ma bêche, Under the weight of my spade, To brave the storm, Braver la tempête, The Ghost of Gentilly, Le Revent de Gentilly, and of course the title track of Misery and Frostbite. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you some links in the description box to how you can get a hold of this album and listen to it. I will leave you a link to the Moulin Banal Bandcamp page, where I currently believe the title track is currently available to stream and listen to. It's definitely a great song. This album is scheduled to be released on December the 4th. Forbidden Sonority is putting out the vinyl version, and Corde Raide is putting out the tape versions. I will leave you links to both of those respective stores so you can keep an eye out for when those particular physical variants will be available. So, again, the album is of Misery and Frostbites by Moulin Banal. This is released on Forbidden Sonority, Corde Raide. Definitely check this one out. And for a score, I'm going to give this a very solid 8.5 out of 10. Definitely energetic, folky Canadian black metal, done properly and done well. So, if you're into this band, if you have any thoughts about this album, definitely let me know what you think about it and how you're going to feel about it. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. Until the next time, Army Ho out.